All right, Tom.
Yes. Hi, Brendan.
Got another sizzling question for you.
Lay it on me.
What is cybersecurity risk appetite, and how is it measured?
That's a great question. Risk appetite is generically defined as the amount of risk that the board, because these are defined at the board level, that the board finds acceptable in order to achieve their goals and objectives. Okay? It's the amount of risk the board finds acceptable in order to achieve their goals and objectives. Cybersecurity risk appetite, then, is specifically isolated on that type of risk. So here's an example. If an institution wants to implement electronic banking, they want to be out there on the internet, they want to give their customers online access to their accounts, virtually all banks do, they have had to, at some point, make a decision that the risks of being online, of being on the internet, are worth, or that they can control those to the point that they can offer these services and still stay within their overall risk appetite. So appetite is defined not just at the cybersecurity level, it needs to be assigned at every process level. And then there's an overall risk appetite. So we know of institutions that, for example, have decided that online banking is just too risky. And not so much anymore, but certainly 5, 6, 7 years ago. That was sort of the school of thought, right? What they decided was that being on the internet, they didn't feel that they could control the risk of being on the internet or having folks have access to their accounts on the internet. And therefore, they've made a decision that their risk appetite was lower than the residual risk level of offering that product or service, if that makes sense. So risk appetite is defined at the residual risk level. After the application of all controls is what's left low enough to be within our predefined risk appetite. Now, the reason this has to be done, and this is a little bit of a misconception, and I would say even among the regulators, they'll say that you have to define risk appetite across the entire enterprise at one single level. We suggest that that's impossible. It has to be done at the process level, and here's why. Your risk appetite for electronic banking is going to have to be slightly higher because you know that at the end of the whole risk management process, you're still going to have more risk left by being on the internet, right, offering accounts that way, than if you didn't. I don't care how many controls you have in place. The residual risk value is non-zero. It is positive, okay? On the other hand, so you're accepting some risk there in order to get the return for whatever the strategic plan dictates. On the other hand, accounting processes, specifically funds management, cash letter management, that sort of thing, you probably have a very, very low risk appetite for that. So if you apply a broad enterprise level risk appetite of medium, you're saying that we're willing to accept that level for everything we do. That's just not true. So we believe that it cannot be done enterprise-wide. It has to be done process by process. And cybersecurity risk appetite is just a component of that.
Have you ever seen a bank define a level of risk appetite that an examiner said was unacceptable?
No. To their credit, to the examiner's credit. It's not to say that it can't happen. We haven't seen it. I think the reason for that is that that is not their decision to make. Unless the institution is under a consent order or an MOU of some sort where the examiners feel they're taking too much risk and they can prove that they're taking too much risk through specific loss experience, I don't think that an examiner is going to go that far and say you're out of alignment with what we normally see, or we need to have you lower that or something. Not in the normal course of business. Again, consent order, all bets are off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Compliance is important.
Extremely important.
You tell me constantly.